Hinkley Point C was supposed to be a triumph, a symbol of Britain's return to nuclear dominance, a gateway to energy security, and a project that would power 6 million homes for the next 60 years. But instead, it has become a cautionary tale of delays, cost overruns, and political miscalculations. It started as a promise, a nuclear plant that would modernize the UK's energy infrastructure, cut carbon emissions, and reduce reliance on foreign energy sources. The plan was ambitious but achievable: 2 state-of-the-art European pressurized reactors, EPRs, a new generation of nuclear technology that promised efficiency and safety at an unprecedented scale. The estimated cost? £18 billion. The completion date? 2025. Today, that vision has crumbled. Costs have skyrocketed to over £46 billion, making it the most expensive nuclear power plant ever built. The completion date has been pushed to 2029 at the earliest, with full operation expected no sooner than 2031. What was meant to be a bold step forward is now an unfolding crisis. The question is, how did it get this bad? Britain was once a leader in nuclear power. In 1956, Calder Hall became the world's first full-scale commercial nuclear power station, a beacon of progress in a post-war era. The UK expanded its nuclear fleet rapidly, and for decades, atomic energy was a cornerstone of the country's electricity supply. But as the years passed, the momentum faded. By the early 2000s, Britain's nuclear industry was on the decline, with aging reactors and no new plants on the horizon. Hinkley Point C was meant to change that. It was the first nuclear plant commissioned in over 30 years, marking the beginning of an ambitious government plan to build up to 8 new reactors by 2050. The site, located in Somerset, was chosen because it already housed older plants Hinkley Point A and B, both of which were nearing decommissioning. The new reactors would be more efficient, more powerful, and safer than anything built before. The French energy giant EDF took the lead on the project, promising to deliver 2 advanced EPR reactors. These reactors, already in development in France and Finland, were hailed as the future of nuclear power. But there was a problem. Every other EPR project in the world was already behind schedule and massively over budget. Hinkley Point C isn't just a power plant, it's a megastructure. Spanning 430 acres, it is widely considered the largest construction site in Europe. Thousands of workers, hundreds of cranes, and a staggering amount of concrete have transformed the landscape into a hive of relentless activity. In theory, a project of this magnitude should inspire confidence. In reality, it has been a logistical nightmare. One of the most extraordinary elements of the construction is Big Carl, the world's largest land-based crane. Towering over the site, it has been instrumental in lifting reactor components weighing thousands of tons. But even with the best equipment available, the project has faced relentless delays. Regulatory hurdles, unexpected technical challenges, supply chain crisis have turned every phase of construction into an uphill battle. Even the simplest tasks have been plagued by setbacks. The reinforced concrete required for the reactor buildings had to be modified to meet British safety standards, leading to delays and additional costs. Welding defects in key components forced costly reworks. The price tag for Hinkley Point C has ballooned beyond all expectations. What started as a £18 billion project is now estimated to cost more than £46 billion, an increase of over 150%. But how does a project triple in cost before it's even completed? The answer lies in a mix of bad planning, unforeseen challenges, and a nuclear industry that had grown rusty. Britain's nuclear expertise had faded after decades of inactivity. Unlike France, which had continued to build nuclear plants, the UK had to rebuild its nuclear construction industry almost from scratch. Supply chains had to be re-established, skilled workers had to be trained, and a new regulatory framework had to be navigated. Every one of these steps cost time and money, and the delays began piling up. Then there's the reactor itself. The EPR was supposed to be a game changer, more powerful, more efficient, and safer than previous designs. But in reality, it has been an engineering nightmare. In France, the Flamanville EPR is years behind schedule and billions over budget. In Finland, the Olkiluoto 3 reactor faced similar struggles. Both projects proved that the EPR was far more complex and difficult to build than anticipated. Britain, despite these warnings, pushed forward with the same flawed technology. As if cost overruns weren't enough, Hinkley Point C has also been entangled in environmental disputes. Nuclear power is often seen as a cleaner alternative to fossil fuels. But that doesn't mean it comes without consequences. And at Hinkley, the biggest controversy isn't radiation, it's fish. To cool its reactors, Hinkley Point C will draw in up to 120,000 liters of seawater every second from the Bristol Channel. The problem? That water is full of marine life. Environmentalists fear that millions of fish and other marine creatures will be sucked into the system and killed. EDF proposed a solution, a fish recovery and return system designed to minimize harm. But that wasn't enough for regulators. The Marine Management Organization insisted on an acoustic deterrent system, which would emit loud noises underwater to scare fish away. EDF, however, pushed back, arguing that the system was unproven and could even pose risks to workers during installation. Instead, they suggested an alternative, creating artificial salt marshes to provide new breeding grounds for marine life. The response was mixed. Some conservationists saw it as a reasonable compromise. Others called it a blatant attempt to sidestep environmental responsibilities. Local farmers were outraged, fearing their land would be flooded to make way for the artificial marshes. The debate raged on, further complicating an already embattled project. Hinkley Point C was meant to be Britain's energy breakthrough, a project that would power millions of homes and secure a low-carbon future. Instead, it has become a financial black hole, with spiraling costs, endless delays, and mounting criticism. What started as an £18 billion project is now expected to exceed £46 billion. The first reactor, once promised by 2025, won't be operational until at least 2029. And yet, the UK government is still pushing ahead with more nuclear plants. The question now isn't just about when Hinkley Point C will be finished. It's whether it was ever worth it at all. Every delay at Hinkley means millions more in costs. The reactor pressure vessel, the core of the entire plant, was supposed to be installed in 2022, but faced multiple setbacks. It was finally lowered into place in late 2024, years behind schedule. The steam generators crucial for turning nuclear heat into energy also arrived late. Originally expected in 2023, they were delayed until 2024 due to supply chain issues. Even the turbine halls, designed to house the most advanced steam turbines in the world, are far from ready. The original promise of having one reactor online by 2025 is long gone. Now 2029 is the best-case scenario, and full operation may not happen until 2031. When EDF first signed contracts in 2016, the deal seemed solid £18 billion, privately funded, but that number kept rising. By 2019, it hit £22 billion. By 2022, £32 billion. Today, it's over £46 billion with no end in sight. So who pays? Originally, the cost was meant to be covered by EDF and its Chinese partners, CGN. But as expenses spiral, there's increasing concern that UK taxpayers will be left with the bill. This isn't just a British problem. The Flamanville reactor in France, built with the same design, has seen its costs explode from €3.3 billion to €19 billion. Finland's Olkiluoto 3 reactor faced similar failures. If these projects failed to stay on budget, why did anyone think Hinkley Point C would be different? Despite the chaos, the UK government is moving ahead with Sizewell C. Officials claim lessons from Hinkley will cut construction time by 30%, but that's exactly what was promised for Hinkley 2. Sizewell C is expected to cost £20 billion, but if history repeats itself, that number could double or even triple. With renewables like wind and solar expanding rapidly, critics argue that nuclear is an outdated, overpriced solution. By the time Hinkley Point C and Sizewell C are fully operational, will they even be necessary? Hinkley Point C is more than just a construction project. It's a test of whether large-scale nuclear energy still makes sense. If it succeeds, it will power millions of homes for 60 years. If it fails, it will be remembered as one of the biggest financial disasters in British history. Right now, things don't look promising. The project is 3 times over budget, years behind schedule, and facing growing public backlash. Yet the UK government is still pushing forward, betting everything on nuclear energy. So what happens next? Will Hinkley Point C ever be finished, or will it go down as one of the biggest financial failures of all time? With the UK committing to even more nuclear projects, are we repeating the same mistakes? Let us know what you think in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into the world's biggest projects, like, share, and subscribe, because this story is far from over.